And we have in studio a very esteemed guest, one who has been part of the show many, many times, and always good to have him on for an update, just like on the state of things in the state of Florida when it comes to marijuana, right? Whether it's medical or, in this case, we're talking about voting on making it recreational. Everybody, please welcome to the Freak Show. Nick Garulay is with us from myfloridagreen. How are you, buddy?
It's always an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Man, it's great to have you. So we are now in a very, very interesting time. And you, by the way, have been at the forefront of medical marijuana here in the state of Florida right from the beginning, right?
November of 16.
Right from day one. And you opened up myfloridagreen, which is this, and at the time it was and still is this revolutionary business where you get people connected with a physician and you get them their medical marijuana card. That way it can alleviate many, many, many different symptoms of many, many, many different things without having to use many, many different medications.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
And that's been going great for a very, very long time. And now here we are in the state of Florida. And just like other states that have allowed for medical marijuana, a lot of those states have voted on recreational marijuana. And some of those states have passed. It's done it in California and Colorado and Oregon. And there's a handful of Massachusetts, I believe, is one. Connecticut, another. Las Vegas or Nevada is another one. So, I mean, they're kind of popping up all over the place.
Right.
And now in November, we're going to be voting on whether or not we want it here in the state of Florida. And Nick Garulay, you being at the forefront and right at the front of this and, you know, making sure that people do get the marijuana that they need. You don't like this.
You know, it's not that I'm against recreational, because I'm not. I don't think marijuana should have ever been illegal, to be honest with you.
Right.
No one's ever died, let's be honest.
Not once.
And it's extremely medicinal. We've proven that. But this particular amendment is a little bit off from, the other amendments. There's no home grow, so you're not going to be able to grow your own cannabis.
See, that's messed up.
Yeah, you can't grow it in your backyard, but you can buy it from right?
Yeah.
So
that's what they want.
So it kind of locks it up, and a lot of people think that this is going to open up the market. It's actually not. It's going to restrict it even more, because Florida has a law called vertical integration. So the grower has to own the dispensary, the processing, extraction, delivery, all the way up, and so it really kind of it enables like a cartel type of business.
Right.
And even Governor DeSantis has said that many times. So there are 23 other licenses that are supposed to open up. They're not. They still haven't. They were supposed to open up, many patients ago, so it's just it's a restrictive market the way it is now, and it's going to get even more restrictive. So people just need to understand that Amendment 3 does not open up the market. It's actually going to restrict it.
Man. And this is what kind of messed up. It seems like Florida is really, really good at taking the will of the people and going, yeah, but we're still going to mess it up for you. Like
Right.
You like it and you want it, but we don't like it, so we're going to mess with you. Because like when they did the whole medical thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They put all kinds of restrictions at first. Remember, you couldn't. It had to be only like in capsule form or in the vape, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't get flour. There was no such thing. You couldn't get edibles. There was no such thing at the time. And then they slowly passed that. Then it was, okay, we'll let you have your flour and all your other little precious stuff, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to count each gram, and each gram is going to count towards a monthly total, and once you exceed that, then you're done. And some people were like, well, wait a minute, you're counting the weight of the flour as much as the vape, as much as the edible, as much as you know what I mean? So it's all very weird, you know what I mean? And they put all these restrictions on it.
It's the most restrictive medical program in the country, actually. It's the only one that's run by bureaucrats. Honestly,
Unbelievable.
So
why is that?
It's. I think that the office, of medical marijuana use and the Department of Health have just been in denial. They don't like it. They don't like just the word marijuana or cannabis. They've never really embraced it. We're following the same bill that was written from 2014 when Morgan & Morgan tried to pass it the first time. We're still following those same laws. And then, ironically, they put together this emergency rule that went into place in August of 2022, the same day that Smart and Safe launched the Amendment 3, right? Which is kind of ironic, who knows, that there's so many conspiracies that go around that come true nowadays, but as frustrating as it is, it's still an honor to be a part of it. It's still an honor to pave the way. It's, for every rule and restrictive parameter that the state put in place, we pave the way through technology, through our app. We're going to open up our app to the general public, meaning all Florida patients, right? So that's coming. And then, we're just going to kind of roll with the punches. There is still going to be a need for the medical program.
No matter what.
Yeah, the 80-year-old cancer patient is not going to want to be educated by, somebody at the dispensary saying smoke this stuff, is the dank.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any dispensary workers out there, okay? But it just doesn't work.
Right.
So, and then you still have to educate the older people on edibles, how they're uncontrollable. Don't go into a dispensary and say, I'm not going to smoke that joint, but I'll definitely eat that chocolate bar. Then they eat 2 of them because they're a fat kid like me and they don't have any self-control. And you end up in the ER, talking to spirits.
Exactly.
Before you become one.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. And so, I just don't understand why, and again, it's taking the will of the people. We voted and we wanted the medical marijuana, and Florida, twisted it up and messed it up and, put every barrier that they could in front of it before finally opening it up as much as they did. Yeah. And then now they're kind of doing the same thing with this recreational thing where it would be great, and it's great in other states, right? Like Colorado, they have a good program, don't they?
They do. The money doesn't go where it's supposed to.
Really?
So, but I think that's politics anyway, so, but, I think it could be embraced. I think there's some equal playing ground, but it's going to take a little bit of work. And this bill right here, it really empowers the one dispensary that dominates the entire state. Which,
right.
It doesn't take a lot to put that together. It doesn't take a lot to connect the dots either. Follow the money. Morgan's into it now. I was up in Tampa last week debating him with a big group of people, and he still doesn't understand the medicinal benefits.
Yeah.
But he does eat a gummy every night, he says, and it helps him sleep.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what are we fighting for? I'm done fighting. I've got 8 years into it.
Yeah.
But
how would that, what would improve the bill? Like to say, okay, let's do recreational in Florida. What would improve it?
Remove vertical integration.
Yeah.
Guys like you and me should have the opportunity to open up a dispensary here, right? Not the restrictive parameters that they put in place. And then also home grow. If I am a marijuana patient, I should be able to grow 3 or 4 plants. Not that I have a green thumb, but I'll have my wife do it.
Sure.
So
it's not that difficult to do, right? A lot of people can do it.
It's easy as a tomato plant. Yeah. So people are trying to take their own health care for themselves and stop relying on doctors, right? So if somebody wants to grow their own plants, and we're all into this organic thing now, which is why I'm broke.
Right.
That's expensive.
Everything's organic, exactly. Yeah. Organic vegetables, organic fruit. Yeah, sure.
And so if we should be able to do that on our own, and there shouldn't be any restrictions, so.
Well, we even kind of messed it up. Not kind of. We definitely messed it up with the medicinal, because there are other states where medicinal is allowed. Not only are patients allowed to grow their own plants up to a certain point, but there are people small, little local farmers that could grow themselves a little patch or have a little, indoor grow or something. And then they supply the dispensaries. So you're giving an opportunity for little local growers, little small growers. I think some states, a buddy of mine was doing it in New Mexico, and he did it in Colorado. At the time, I think you were allowed 12, if you're a small grow guy, 12 plants to maintain in each state. So he had a total of 24, maintain, and then just sold them to local dispensaries and made money that way. Yeah. It actually made quite a bit of money.
And that's the American dream, or the opportunity. Right. Maybe not to sell weed, but capitalism.
Exactly.
The other part of this bill that is kind of terrible to watch is there's a lot of similarities to big pharma and how they passed. The certain bills and rules. There's no liability, for the dispensary. So if they become the of cannabis, which is most likely going to happen.
Yeah.
And they sell some tainted products, moldy products, there's no liability, so you can't sue them. So that's a bit of an issue too.
That is, because it's almost like you're going against the state, because it's a state-run thing at this point.
Right? Yeah, pretty much. So it's a little frustrating, but again, we're kind of still honored to be a part of it and roll with the punches.
What do you think? Is there anything that got right about this bill? The upcoming recreational marijuana thing?
Well, again, you know, we're going to empower one dispensary to basically monopolize the entire state. You know? So I don't know how American that is.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, yeah, you were saying just in order to get your own dispensary, you've got to go through all these hoops and have all these layers. And the average person, somebody that wants to start a small business, you could not get a small business loan that is going to cover that. We're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars.
$50 million.
$50 million just to start a dispensary.
Yeah. And you have to have 25 years of agricultural experience as well. Like it's there's a lot of restrictive permits that people don't even understand.
And don't you have to have like a doctor on staff and all this other stuff?
Medical director. They can't certify for cannabis as well, so they're restricted. They can only be a medical director.
Unreal, but you have to pay a medical director.
Right.
I can't even imagine what you'd have to pay somebody like that. That annual salary and benefits and everything else you got to pay. I mean, you have to be super, super, super mega rich just in order to start a dispensary. And what do you need to start a dispensary for? You're already super mega rich. People want to start a dispensary to become that way.
Well, yes and no. I mean, or you want to change the world and help people benefit. But it's
also become rich while doing it. And then help even more people. You see?
It doesn't hurt.
Right. Exactly. Yes. So people really, we should probably vote no on this then, right? Coming up in November? I mean, you're saying to vote no.
I'm not going to sway either way. You know, you make your own decision. You know,
it's just not good the way it is.
If you want it to be restrictive, you know, one of the things that irks me the most is the fact that the dispensaries are marketing Amendment 3, vote for Amendment 3 through like their email list and all the people that have purchased products. I think that's really unethical.
There's like signs when you walk in. They're all over the place.
I mean, you have a captive audience now. So, but what people, what the patients should understand is that, you know, there is potential of cahoots that's happening between the Department of Health with that restrictive parameter and the fact that Amendment 3 is they're trying to pass it. So, you know, the patient should be really upset, in my opinion. You know, I mean, I'm a patient and I'm upset. You know, that I'm restricted with what I can buy, and now, you know, I'm being force fed this Amendment 3 agenda down my throat. You know, and then there's the narrative of nobody should be in jail for small possession of marijuana. You keep seeing that everywhere. Well, guess what? No one is in jail for small possession of marijuana. That's true. So you get pulled over with 40 pounds in your trunk and you got fentanyl in the front seat and a 40 in between your legs, you're going to jail.
100%.
And a lot of people think that, you know, that this is going to eliminate people getting arrested. Well, guess what? If Officer Johnson pulls you over, right, and you're in possession of marijuana and it's larger than, you know, looks like intent to distribute, you're going to jail. It doesn't matter if it's recreational or not.
Yeah, no matter what, because there's only certain people that are allowed to distribute. They're called dispensaries.
Exactly. And you see the commercials on TV about supporting the teachers union. There's Amendment 3 commercials that have nothing to do with cannabis at all. It talks about the teachers and it's just so misleading. You know.
What does the state promise to do with all the money raised? Because this is going to obviously would raise a lot of, you know, tax revenue for the state and everything else. You know, you hear about those things in Colorado. Like you said, though, they're not really putting the money where it should be.
They're not. You know, they haven't been. You know, so you know what I want to hear and what I want to see is I want to see how they plan on delineating between medical and recreational. What are they going to do? Because what happens with medical dispensaries, as soon as it goes rec here in the state of Florida, what's going to happen is every MMTC, which is Medical Marijuana Treatment Center, flips into a recreational.
Right.
So now what happens? 80-year-olds, you know, and 70-year-old Parkinson's patients are waiting in a separate line. That's not good enough for me. Right. I want to make sure that I want to know that there's a supply for the patients that we facilitate, you know, and, you know, these people need a voice. And, you know, that's kind of how I feel, you know, it's kind of my fiduciary duty to be that voice for these people, you know, so.
This is what I was understand about some states, I guess. I don't know if it was California. It was one of them. The way that they did it was that you go into a dispensary, and if you have a medical card, then you can go into this other side, right? There was like another room. It was kind of like, you know, the back room at an old video store back in the day, right? Where the good stuff is, you know? But, you know, you go there, you got your medical card. You do not pay as much as everybody else does. You know, you like, there's a medical discount or something involved. That, and you have access to other products that other people don't get in the other room.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, a solution. Personally, I think there should just be medical dispensaries and recreational dispensaries completely separate. Yeah, with more professional, medical type of advocates that work at the medical dispensary.
And from a business and jobs standpoint, they should really open it up so that, more people could open a dispensary at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, remove the vertical integration, make it horizontal so people like us could open up our own dispensary, and even license the products that are already, embedded in the medical program, right?
Sure.
So if we buy products from the dispensaries and resell them,
everybody can play nice.
You got a lot of people that are still going to be medical advocates for this. They're not just going to be, free the flower holding the picket sign.
Right.
Sure.
Not gonna be a guy with a green, wig, with a, weed necklace on,
I am happy that that's cleaning up a little bit because it's been a little bit ridiculous.
A little bit circusy.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, people like to get attention in their own weird ways.
Right. That is very, very true. Well, it's definitely going to be very interesting. And the thing to remember is that once it's passed, that's going to be it. They're not going to go back in 5 years and go, well, you know what, let's let people grow their own stuff. Or, well, let's let, people open up their own dispensaries that don't have, $80 million to start off with. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to go back and change it later. It was like when medical marijuana went to go pass the first time, it wasn't right. Mm-hmm. Florida knew it wasn't right, and it did not pass. Second time around, it was a lot more right than it was the first time, and it was just enough right for people to go, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Brian, I have chills right now because you just really nailed it. You just hit the nail right on the head. It is irreversible.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people to think about, before you vote, think about this very clearly because it's not going to open the market. It's going to restrict it.
Yeah.
Permanently restrict it because it's being passed as a constitutional amendment.
Yeah, let's not do that. All right, so
I don't like that.
research this and check it all out, right? It is obviously Amendment 3 that we're going to be voting on coming up in November. Very, very big. And we need to pay close attention, obviously.
We do have a podcast on YouTube. myfloridagreen is how you'll find it. So if you want to track some of this stuff in progress, that we're making, feel free to do so, and any support's appreciated.
Awesome. That is a great way to consume it on YouTube, My Florida Green. Make sure you check out the podcast. You can find out more about 3 and why we should, possibly and probably not vote yes on that one. But, Nick, it's always great having you in,
I
man.
know. You're always
Such
educating us
wealth
so
of
much.
information.
Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Up until now, honestly, I thought, great idea, recreational for the state. Oh, we're going to be the next one. Awesome. This is going to be, open the door for so many people. No, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
No, not the way it is. It needs to be better. We need to do better.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's slamming it shut.
Yes. myfloridagreen.com. Find them on YouTube. Nick Garulay, thank you again.
Thank you so much.